855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820. Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. 800-240-4587. That's 800-240-4587.
Why have thousands of aspiring authors teamed up with Christian Faith Publishing to publish their book? Because Christian Faith Publishing is an author-friendly publisher who understands that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys. Yeah, can you
Welcome
turn
to
mine up too?
Crime Time with Brittani and Renae.
Welcome back. How is everybody doing this Tuesday evening? Hopefully we're all having a good time. Didn't know when the answers.
Crystal says hi.
Hi, Crystal.
Hang on, I'm having a problem.
We want to welcome Gary to the show. We have a person that's going to be joining us today, so we're very excited to have a special guest. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Hey, Gary.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
We are doing
Doing
good. Thank you for being
fantastic.
here with us.
Yeah.
Great. Glad to
Okay.
be here.
So we wanted to welcome Gary. He is here to talk to us today about an unsolved case, a very sad case of a 13-year-old Hailey Dunn. I believe he is from the area, so we ended up inviting him to be on the show, and we are so glad you're here to talk to us about it and tell the story, the unsolved murder of Hailey Dunn. And if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little about you first.
Sure. I'm Gary Reed. I live in Abilene, Texas. I previously worked in law enforcement and retired from probation and parole about 2 years ago. And I went back to work as a court-appointed special advocate for children. So I do that full-time in Abilene now.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So tell us how you found out about the Hailey Dunn case.
Hold on one moment. I'm just going to say a quick disclaimer before we start, just to ensure we want to make sure that we're doing this beforehand. So this podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. We are not law enforcement officers, lawyers, or professional investigators, just two crime enthusiasts who enjoy discussing cases based on publicly available information. While we strive for accuracy, some details may be incorrect or subject to change. At times, we may use humor, but it is never at the expense of the victims. We approach every case with respect and sensitivity. Listener discretion is advised, as these cases may contain sensitive content. So we just wanted to put that out there first and foremost, especially moving into this case, which is a very sad one.
Very sensitive, yeah.
Very sensitive
Being a
topic.
child.
Meaning that there's child murder, there's talks of sexual abuse. So we just want to get that out of the way. And everything that we say is alleged.
Absolutely.
Okay, Gary, take it away.
Okay. Yeah, I became involved with this case back in 2010 when she first went missing. As you said, Hailey was 13 years old. She was a cheerleader at Colorado City Junior High. She loved softball and she loved her cheerleading. And I guess we heard about it December 28th because I believe she went missing on December 27th of 2010. Mm-hmm. From that point on, there were search parties from all over. We had people from all over the state and out of state coming to Colorado City and meeting there in the city and going out in different directions, walking and searching for Hailey.
Wow.
Of course, that went on for months and nothing was ever found. When Hailey first went missing, she was at her mother's house, Billy Dunn. And Billy was at work, but Hailey was at home with Billy's boyfriend, Sean Atkins. And Hailey from what Sean told law enforcement, that Hailey said she was going to her dad's house, which was a street or two over, and then she was going to go to her friend's house. She never showed up at either one. Her dad said that he wasn't expecting her, and Hailey's friend said she had no idea that she was coming over. So that right there kind of set off, some suspicions with the family.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then what was even more odd was that December 31st, law enforcement was watching a New Year's Eve party that Billy and her boyfriend were hosting and had a lot of people over partying, while others were out even that night searching for Hailey.
Wow. That's really disappointing to hear.
That is unbelievable, actually.
Yeah.
Eventually, the FBI and Texas Rangers were initially involved in the investigation as well, but they called Billy and Sean in for polygraph test. And the first time Billy, she had admitted taking some type of drug. I don't know if it was illegal drug or prescription or whatever, which that nullified the polygraph. So she left and came back the next day. And then when they asked her if she was involved or whatever, she failed it and walked out on them.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. I had heard that she failed it, but I didn't know that she had been asked if she was involved. So that's crazy.
And of course, Sean failed his too. And so, of course, can't make an arrest on a failed polygraph test. So
it just kind of gives them an idea of what, kind of like we need to look at them more.
Yeah.
Because of
unfortunately, though, polygraphs are not admissible in court. Right. In case anyone that's listening that is not aware of that, but it does cause for speculation because we've got two people that have failed polygraph tests.
Right.
So,
And then the sheriff of Mitchell County, that's Colorado City, is in Mitchell County. He came on, did a press conference where he said there was a ton of child pornography images and videos found on Sean Atkins' devices, phones, USB drives, and other hard drives that was found in the residence of he and Billy. And they were supposed to make an arrest on that, and that was back in 2011. And to this day, no one's ever been charged with that child pornography.
That right there is a huge red flag.
Yeah, that really seems like a mistake on their part.
Yes, and there's, allegedly there are rumors, but there was some people involved in some of that they're saying kind of slid it under the rug, which I don't know if that's true, but there's no other explanation given as to why no charges have been filed.
Yeah, that kind of seems like it does lean that way because, it's clearly against the law. So,
right.
I don't understand that. Okay.
Yeah. And so the search parties went on with no success. Then I believe it was 2012, Hailey's remains were found. It was by a lake near Snyder, Texas. It was by a lake and it was partially covered. And there was some other evidence there that proved it was Hailey, that positively identified her as Hailey. And it was pretty quiet since then over the next several years. But then in 2020, I believe, the district attorney in Mitchell County got the Texas Rangers involved. I don't know if it's a cold case unit, what they actually named them, but they got involved, and they immediately matched the DNA for Sean, and he was arrested. I believe he was arrested in 2021.
Yes.
And charged with the murder of Hailey Dunn. It was determined that he hit her in the head with a unknown object. Not sure what it was, but I guess he sat in jail for about 2 years, and then they dropped the charges because there was not enough evidence, and he was released. Recently, the Texas Rangers are still on it. They're just looking for more evidence to hopefully bring him back and charge him and provide justice for Hailey.
I don't understand the first part. You're talking about evidence. DNA was found on her remains that clearly matched to Sean Atkins, the stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he was arrested and released. I'm so confused on that. Do you have any details on why?
Elaborate on that? Yeah.
No, the only thing I've heard is they did not have enough evidence to take him to court. Of course, as you know, it's a one-shot thing. If you go to court and there's not enough evidence, then he walks free and will never be charged again.
That's true.
So he was exonerated from?
No, just dropped due to lack of evidence. So they can rearrest him.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
He just wasn't officially
so there is hope.
Charged, I guess.
Yes. I'm really curious to know, and if this is too tough of a subject to talk about, but what was it like being a part of the search party? Because I've never spoken to someone personally that's had to do those things.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We had search party, I guess, professionals from other states that came in, and a lot of them from Texas, and anything we found, we would flag it, and let somebody know, and then they would come, or we would pick it up, and they would know exactly where objects were found. We found a ton of cell phones for whatever reason. I guess people throw them out or leave them on the car and drive off, but it was nothing that was related to Hailey's case.
Right.
Hopefully the police confiscated all those in case they need them for other cases. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And when they searched Billy and Sean's residence, they found over 300 articles of murders and sadistic type stuff that they claim, or Billy claimed, that they kind of got off on murders and stuff and sadistic crimes and stuff like that. So it was all kind of weird.
I think it was interesting because I think I heard that they had articles that was like family murders.
Yes.
And then she was claiming that it was just a hobby.
Right.
You don't really print documents.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not funny, but I'm laughing because it's just laughable that she really thought that they would just be, oh, yeah, that's our hobby too. Know, that's not a thing.
Right.
Not for a normal person.
True.
And wasn't there some kind of a threat made by Sean Edkins at some point?
Yeah. Before the murder, at some point, he had threatened Hailey and Billy, threatened to kill them. The police were called there, I can't tell you how many times, for domestic violence issues. There was reports of drug use. I don't think initially they were ever arrested or had any charges for drugs, but they were well-known alleged drug users.
Wow. I really, I know you work for you said you work for the CASA, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So it really blows my mind that Hailey was even allowed to continue living with them. Like, why? I wonder why they weren't able to. She wasn't able to live with her father, who lived right across the street, right, or right around the corner or something.
He did. I'm not sure. I mean, Clint was his name. He had a lot of problems of his own back then.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like things got bad for him, and they continued to get worse. He had a number of arrests, I think, for possession of marijuana and stuff like that. And he's, from what I hear now, he's really got his life in order, and he's really doing well at this point.
That's wonderful.
Oh, yeah, that's good to hear.
He's really fighting for his daughter's justice, and
yeah,
we're all behind him.
That's wonderful. I mean, I'm glad to hear that and he's advocating for her. That's important.
Yeah.
We do have a question from one of our listeners. Robin is asking, was the area that she was found searched initially?
Close. It was, but it was underwater at the time. Yeah, I'm not sure when she was placed there, if there was water or not, but it had rained since then. And so I don't think the search ever got to that area, but it was close.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's really crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. And he is the only person that has ever been a suspect in this case, or was there any others, do you know?
No, he was pretty much top of the list from the beginning. Just the morning or the next day that Hailey had gone missing, I think it was on the 28th, co-workers stated that he had arrived at work early that morning, and he was real nervous, and they could tell something was wrong with him. He popped off to his boss or whatever and left. And there's speculation that Hailey's body was in his trunk at that time, and he left to go drop the body off where he dropped it off at.
Oh my goodness. I know, because I remember when I was researching this case that they said that he had claimed that he was fired from his job, but what had actually happened is he just walked out. Yes. And so his story that he gave to the police didn't match the timeline at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And his cell phone kind of pinged in the areas too that her body was found.
Golly, if they have his phone pinging in the area, they have his DNA on her body. What else do they need?
Right.
Exactly. I'm not. I know that. I think when law enforcement first arrived, there were some mistakes made that they initially drove up. Hailey told them that she was missing, or Billy told them Hailey was missing, and they immediately put it off as a runaway.
Right.
We hear that a lot.
Yeah, they didn't search or anything at first. They just, she's a runaway. She'll be back pretty soon,
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what should have been done, in my opinion, was get Billy off to the side, separate her and Sean, and interview them separately, and kind of match their stories afterwards.
I really feel like there should be a specific type of procedure that is done in all of these cases, because you hear this story all the time. You always hear kids run away, and the first thing police say is, "Oh, they're just a runaway," which I understand that probably happens a lot,
Right.
but it's a kid, and time is precious at this point, and the longer that you allow this to
Mhm.
continue and not be treated in the right way,
Well,
you're
statistically, they
missing
have
time.
48 hours,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
Statistically, the
Yeah.
first 48 hours are crucial.
right.
So if
Critical,
you're
yeah.
treating it as a runaway, then you're losing time.
Right.
Yeah.
And, Colorado City is a population of around 4,000. And these small police departments, I'm not knocking them, but they're not used to solving murders and, things like this. So, it's really difficult to get justice when a murder happens in that smaller towns.
And that's another thing we hear often too. You always hear that, and I feel like I think if there's a certain, and I'm just giving opinion here, but
Mhm.
if there's a certain number of cases that a city has handled or less, they
Mhm.
should be required to have the Texas Rangers or the FBI involved. Were they involved in the beginning, or do you know?
They were involved in the
Oh,
beginning.
good.
During the search of the residence, they took shovels and everything else that took to the crime lab to test the soil and stuff on them. So I was hoping that might match the soil to where she was buried, or kind of partially buried. But I don't know. Haven't heard.
Do you know if
Interesting.
I'm wondering, and I'm sure that I know what the answer is, but I'm just going to ask because I don't know for sure.
Mhm.
Was there any there anything sexually done to her,
Well,
if they know?
they don't know, but I can tell you that Haley's grandmother
Uh-huh.
had brought it up a number of times that Haley was scared of Sean.
Ugh.
She told her grandmother that she would wake up sometimes at night and Sean would be looking through her door in the hallway, and it was creeping her out. And um, so,
That
but
is so incredibly sad because she's 13, she's depending on her mother to
right,
protect her, and there she was. I wonder if she ever mentioned it to her mom. I guess maybe not.
yes, they did, but she, well, I mean, when Haley first went missing, I mean, she was protecting Sean, and Sean was protecting,
Ah.
and they were on Nancy Grace a number of times. Billy and her attorney John Young from Sweetwater. Um, but I mean, after a while, I believe Nancy just didn't believe her anymore, so she didn't have her on the show anymore. So
Yeah. No, I get
Wow.
it.
yeah,
I mean, that's pretty
So
sad, though,
crazy.
whenever your own mom is covering for the killer of your daughter. Like,
right.
I don't even have words.
Yeah, whenever we would go get organized for the search, Billy would come up and I would talk to her, and she just, I mean, I know her daughter is missing, but there was just something about her hollow eyes or something. It just, she didn't appear right, in my opinion.
Do you think that she was involved in any way?
I do, because if not, I think she would have already, to save herself, she would have already, you know, turned the tables on Sean.
Yeah.
But they have stuck by each other for years, and she was actually charged with, I think, interfering with, um,
An investigation?
I remember hearing that.
yeah,
Mhm.
Sean was actually in the house when law enforcement arrived to talk to him or arrest him for something back then, but she said he wasn't there, and then he pops his head out, and
Wow. They're like, "Well, you're a liar."
It's not funny, but it's
right,
Golly.
yeah,
interesting.
right,
Wow. That's
So
wow.
she got to talk to them in a different way.
right. And she was put on probation for a year and made
Yeah.
it off, and so, but now I think she's living somewhere in Texas. I'm not sure where she's at.
Is she still with Sean? Do you know?
Rumor has it they're still together. I know that for a while there they weren't. He was living in Austin or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard recently, I don't know if it's true, but they are still together.
That is unbelievable.
Guess they'll
I
be.
know
And it's
Sean's dad
him.
really well. I mean, I went to school with him.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He's kind of angry about the details. I mean, I haven't followed him on social media in a while, but he basically tells everyone to forget it and move on. You know?
Oh, well, that's not going to happen. So,
No.
Yeah, nobody's going to drop a case of a
No,
13-year-old being
especially if it's an
murdered.
open case, it's
Exactly.
not going. I mean, even cold cases like what was it, Delphi murders?
Mm-hmm.
That was considered a cold case, and they solved it. So,
Absolutely.
and we're going to solve this one. Well, maybe not us, but
Right.
the determination and the Facebook page and everything. This case is very much still alive.
Oh yes,
So.
and you know they're fighting a battle too, because evidently Sean has people harassing the people that are advocating for Hailey.
Oh.
There's Facebook threats or social media threats to some of them, and law enforcement's aware of it.
Wow.
Doesn't that just incriminate him further?
Yeah, you would think.
I really believe he knows that at some point it's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's just buying time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
You know, all of our listeners, we want y'all to get your questions, put them in the comments because we're going to have a break here in just a few minutes. But when we get back, we're going to ask the questions that you have for Gary and anything else you're wanting to know that we haven't covered, because I'm sure there's plenty in this case. It's a pretty detailed case. I actually had a question and I forgot it, so I'm going to try to remember it when we come back. I'm going to write it down right here. But I mean, it's such a. I remember. I think I joined this case, the page or the pot. I'm sorry. Let me get it out here. I joined the page for Hailey Dunn. For
the Facebook page.
Yeah. A long time ago, actually. And so I never really was able to delve into it. So I'm glad that we're covering this case and talking about it, because the thought of a murder of a 13-year-old child is just sickening.
Yeah. And for it to be the stepfather, and clearly the situation wasn't as black and white as her going to live with her father. So honestly, she was given a double-edged sword.
You know, I have a real quick question before we go to break here. I think I looked him up, and it looks like he's about 12 years older than Hailey. Is that correct?
I think he's around 40 now. So
and she would have been
13,
29.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Wait, 97, 92. No, she would have been like, can't do math without a calculator these days.
Seems like he may have been, I'm not sure, at least 10 years older or something like that.
Yeah.
See, and that right there is a big, huge problem. You can't get with a guy who's just barely older than your own child.
Exactly.
That right there is going to cause problems. So, I mean, good Lord.
Yes.
I don't know. That's a sad part. So we're going to, we lost our screen for. Anyway, we're gonna take y'all's questions. If y'all have any questions about what we've talked about so far for Gary, we're gonna read those whenever we get back. And I'm sure there's this case is wild.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was doing research on this case, this is probably one of the saddest cases I've ever encountered.
Especially
and the evidence
since
is so clearly obvious, even though this is an alleged. It's all alleged, guys. But is it alleged? No, I'm just joking. It is. It is.
It is alleged, but nevertheless, I want to know what it is that it's going to take to, get this guy arrested.
Yeah, it's really frustrating.
I don't know. It's going to have to be something for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And
we'll talk about what kind of things that it's going to take to arrest him and go into some more deeper details.
It's going to take a search party, but this time we're searching for Sean.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he didn't show up at the search parties, which was probably good because
I did read that. Yeah. And he wouldn't even hand out flyers, correct?
No, he probably wouldn't have been a good idea for him to show up. So.
Right.
Well,
I mean, even though he committed the crime, I'm sure it's hard to put on a facade in front of people that are searching for someone that he's allegedly killed.
Right. When we were searching, he would walk out on his mother's porch and watch us.
Wow. How creepy.
How kind. Yeah. They always say that the killer always goes to the funeral or the vigils just to fill it out.
Yeah.
But we'll be back after this break and answer y'all's questions. Thanks so much, Gary.
You bet.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
Welcome back, guys.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
All right, we're going to continue on talking about the Hailey Dunn case, but before we do that, I have a few words. So NTX Radio proudly serves all of North Texas and can be heard all over the world on the TuneIn Radio Network and on the NTX Radio app available on Android and Apple CarPlay, or just ask Alexa to play NTX Radio. Check out our lineup and more at ntxradio.com. We thank our valued sponsors in helping us amplify the voices of North Texas communities and businesses. So protect your family with a will or trust. Connect with Todd Hurd and Associates, attorneys at law, for all of your civil law needs at texasattorneylaw.com. Processing credit cards? Join the Swipe Nation today and save on processing fees at swipenationusa.com. Locally owned and operated, and will beat any rates. Got sleeves? Dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com for women's accessories and more, made in the USA. And it's time to take your business to the next level. Hosting a radio show and podcast is a powerful way to connect with a wider audience, build brand awareness, and drive sales. Let's discuss your business goals and how a custom show can help you achieve them. Email Tiffany at t.hurd@ntxradio.com to get amplified. All right, Gary, thank you so much for being here with us again and talking about the Hailey Dunn case. So let's see. What else do we need to cover on this case? And I'm sure this is a very in-depth case, and I know there's plenty to talk about.
Yeah. Can you turn my mic up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know why it changed, but
I don't either. And then for everybody that might possibly be tuning in for the second half of the show, we are covering the unsolved case of Hailey Dunn, and we have our special guest with us, Gary, who was in the lines of finding Hailey.
Yeah, like out there looking in the field for her body, which is got to be heartbreaking.
Can't thank you enough for being on here. Yeah, incredible to have someone that literally was there, and got to speak to Billie Jean. So in your professional opinion and your personal opinion, what do you think happened? Like, do you have um any idea why he would have done this or what his motive was?
Well, in my opinion, and take it for what it's worth, I think with the child pornography found on his devices and all that, I think that she was probably sexually assaulted or
Mhm.
he tried to. And I think things went horribly wrong. And that's just my opinion about what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he claimed that he went to his mom's, right,
Yes.
to file for unemployment, and so his timeline was basically that he couldn't have possibly been there long enough for anything to have happened, because when he got there, she was basically like, "Hey, I'm walking to my dad's. I'm staying the night at a friend's."
Right.
But then when they went back and did the phone ping, they realized that he had actually been there for much longer than he had claimed,
Correct.
which would put him. It's just so crazy because after all the evidence, like you said, the DNA, this storyline not matching up, the polygraph failed. He's already been arrested.
Yeah. What else is it gonna take?
He must have an insider on his
Yeah.
side.
There's lots of speculation going on about the
Yeah.
people involved, and so I don't know. I'm confident that the Texas Rangers are going to solve this. I think they're just looking at different angles to get a solid case against him.
Right.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, and I mean, I would hope the sooner the better. You know.
Yeah. I do have a question. So I was doing research on the case, and I don't know if you know about this or not. I know any more information, but I heard that there was a child that actually ended up with her belongings and gave them back to Clint. Are you familiar with like what that would possibly have been? Basically, it was like these belongings are personal to Hailey, and she didn't like realize what she had until after Hailey's remains were found.
I remember this now.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody had it was after she found out. Was it she or he?
It was I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. It was.
It sounds familiar. I probably
Yeah.
forgot about it, but
Yeah, it was a small detail.
I'm just curious because they've never clearly you don't know about it. We don't know the specifics. So what was it? You know what I mean?
Right.
And how come it got turned into Clint and not law enforcement?
Yeah, there were lots of things that nobody understands about the whole investigation.
Yeah.
That was kind of going into my question. It kind of worked in the same realm. Did Hailey have a cell phone?
She did not.
Okay. I just wondered because I was
It was
wondering.
2010.
Yeah, that was.
I didn't
It
know.
was kind of sad because the people that I talked to and around said that she played softball and she was in the band, that when they had out of town concerts or marching contests or whatever, or softball games, they sometimes would arrive back in Colorado City around midnight or after, and everybody's parents are up there picking them up, but she would always be walking home, and somebody would offer to give her a ride a lot of times, but a lot of times she just walked, and her house wasn't that close to the school where they parked, and so she did most things by herself, unfortunately.
That's really sad.
That's heartbreaking.
Golly. I mean, I know police have their work cut out for them, and I know that CPS also has their work cut out for them. And I know a lot of times people don't want to get involved, but man, when it involves children, you really got to get involved. People have got to speak up, because otherwise these things just go unnoticed. I mean, they have, like I said, police and CPS and all these other organizations that try to help protect children. They are not going to know about it unless somebody tells somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Do you know if Hailey's grandmother ever said anything before the disappearance of Hailey?
She did, lots of times, from what I'm told. But
Nothing ever came of it.
When Billy's the mother, I mean, she kind of just blew her off, from what I've been told. And
well, at least her grandmother was advocating for Hailey, but unfortunately, it was up to Billy to protect her, and she failed.
Go ahead.
Were there other family members that were involved in the search besides the mom?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, wow.
I know that Billy had some brothers that were on probation at the time that I knew, and I never saw any of them around.
Golly, that is really sad.
That is hard to understand.
Yeah, it really is. Because
is everyone involved? Allegedly. Like, why is no one? Okay.
Yeah.
There was rumors and speculations that there was a hotel room. I mean, there was a hotel close to Hailey's house that a K9 actually hit on, but lost the scent around that area. And there was speculation that Sean and others had Hailey at that hotel because the scent ended. But as far as I believe surveillance cameras and everything at that time were checked, and they didn't see anything.
Yeah, and I heard that they talked to the people that have worked there, and they were like, we don't recognize this person.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that the dogs led because of the scent, because they're usually not wrong, right?
Right. I mean, Hailey could have been running away, and, her scent stopped when someone put her in a car and drove off. I mean,
right. Yeah.
That's so true.
That's so sad. Yeah. Hey, I just want to do a shout out to everybody that is listening. We appreciate y'all being here. Hey, John, thank you for joining us and listening to the rest of the show. Robin, thank you for joining us. Alyssa and Crystal, thank y'all so much for listening. And anybody else, just say hey if you're here. Drop an L for if you're listening to it live. And if you are listening to the replay, then put an R in the comments. That way we know. So we're talking about the Hailey Dunn case, a 13-year-old beautiful girl who was murdered in 2010. And Gary is someone who lives in the area. Hey, Rhonda, somebody who lives in the area and was actually instrumental in looking for her. And we're just kind of talking about it. So if y'all have any questions for him, please let us know in the comments and we will ask him for you. And so we're just going to keep talking about the case. So I have a question. Are police still involved in this case? Do you know? Are they? I mean, I'm talking about Colorado City. Are they still involved along with the Texas Rangers, or how does that work?
Yeah, they are. They're still involved.
Okay, good. Okay. I just wondered how that worked. I wasn't sure if they just took over and they just kind of stopped or what.
Yeah, I think a lot of the original officers are gone and we have new ones now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much experience they've had in investigations or whatever. I don't know much about them. But.
Right.
Well, with a population of 4,000, I can imagine not very many.
Yeah.
That is a small town. I used to travel to Abilene, and I don't remember seeing that city, but it doesn't mean anything, obviously.
Abilene and then Sweetwater and then Colorado City down the interstate.
Oh, okay. So it's a little further than I was actually going. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if, I already asked you that question. Never mind. Sorry.
We wrote down a bunch of questions for you.
I will say that most recently, I mean, I don't know how recent, but a while back, there were several women complaining that Sean was harassing them on social media by sending nude pics and just being about as perverty as you can get. I do know that law enforcement did talk to him about it. I don't suppose he was ever charged with anything, but yeah, he's
apparently he's not going to get charged with any of that because they just don't care.
And he is. My concern is that he's a real threat, and just hoping he doesn't do something like that again.
Right.
Wow. Do you think that eventually when, and this is just your opinion, when they do get the evidence that they need to arrest him, do you think that Hailey's mom will be arrested as well?
I do. Like I said, she's had plenty of opportunities to come forward and, tell the truth. And I believe they ran it together because it doesn't make sense that even if they're not together now, why you wouldn't, come forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Tammy, thanks for watching. And Rhonda has a question. She said no DNA. And we talked about this earlier in the show about there being
was
DNA,
DNA.
but go ahead, Gary, and tell that part of the story about the DNA.
Yeah, the Texas Rangers came in 2020 and matched DNA with Sean Atkins on evidence found at the site of the remains. And they arrested him like not long afterwards, charged him with murder and abuse of corpse. But then after 2 years, he was released from jail. Charges of murder and tampering with corpse dismissed for now.
Holy, that's just unbelievable.
I don't understand how they could do that. So yeah, that's my question. Literally what John asked. Yeah. What caused the charges to be dropped against Sean Atkins?
Insufficient evidence is what they're saying, which I'm with you. I don't
There's
know how that
DNA.
could be. You're right.
Yeah, because
DNA.
usually if you have enough to make an arrest and you give it to the DA or you present it to the DA and they say absolutely make the arrest, you have
Right.
whatever our approval,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and then you make the arrest and then 2 years later like, oh wait, no, we don't. Like what?
I would encourage everyone to get on the Who Killed Hailey Dunn Facebook page.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
there's a lot of things going on, that a lot of accusations flying around. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's looking for her case and the page on Facebook, Who Killed Hailey Dunn, her name is spelled Hailey and then Dunn. So that's the page. That's so confusing. And I didn't realize he'd been there for 2 years. So that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
2 whole years.
Well,
Wow.
when I read it and I was like 2023. So this took forever to even get him arrested. And the man literally stayed there for a blink of an eye, and now he's out walking free.
And like I said, polygraph tests aren't admissible in court, but
Right.
both of them, one of them failed, the other one failed and walked out. I mean,
Yeah. Which is interesting because, the first case we covered, the person went on the Dr. Phil show, failed a polygraph test, and the police were literally...
They're like, okay, now we're going to start investigating.
Yeah, they're like,
this.
now we think he's... And so it's interesting how, maybe because it was more of a, public setting, and they literally had no choice but to ignore it because it was like, okay, this is Dr. Phil. Versus a small town where it's like, oh, well, it's unfortunate that they failed, but there's really nothing we can do.
Right.
I know that that we have that there's the page for Hailey Dunn, Who Killed Hailey Dunn, and then of course I know you've actually mentioned this case to me several times, which is why I thought about you to talk about it because I knew you were very familiar with it. And then of course Clint, which is Hailey's father, he advocates for her. Is there anybody else that advocates for her? Or do you know? Besides, I know there's a whole group of people, but
yeah, there's PI involved, which I think
good,
Erica. And there are others.
Good.
And like I said, there's a lot of things going on with the DA's office, and the one that just left, they felt like he was holding back a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't.
Well, hopefully a new DA coming in will, because that seems to be the thing that happens. A new DA comes in and then they reopen the case. And then, they're like, we're not going to stop until this is done. Right.
Has this ever been...
That's what happens.
Sorry, Brittany.
No?
Has this ever been considered a cold case at any point?
Yes. They don't really say that, but it was a cold case for a while. Yeah.
I wonder what rejuvenated it. A new investigator worked on it, or maybe some tips came in?
The district attorney in Mitchell County, he called he got the Texas Rangers back involved again. And that's when they matched the DNA and then made the arrest shortly afterwards.
Were they just not going to do that before the DA got involved?
There's so many questions that it's really frustrating.
It just feels like there was so many balls dropped across the board.
Child porn found on numerous devices of
Billy
and Sean. No charges.
Well, found, I'm sorry, it was found on his mother's computer, right, on a flash drive,
Yep.
and then it was also found separately in their home as like actual like tangible documents. So it's just so interesting how this just literally got brushed under the rug,
Right.
when it's
And-
clear what the motive was.
Right. I mean, there's rumors that there was law enforcement involved, kind of like the Missy Beavers case, just
Yeah, absolutely.
so hopefully that if there's any corruption or anything like that, they'll be brought to justice as well as the killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that Billie Jean will turn on Sean? Or do you think that, because there's always the opportunity for Billie Jean to get a lesser sentence if she were to turn on him. And hopefully, if you're listening, Billie Jean, that's an option.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn him in and get a lesser sentence.
I really believe that it's going to take her being arrested along with him and them making a deal with her.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's what they're trying to do, is get her to turn on him, where they would have a witness to testify against him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's very possible, John. You're right. He said someone got paid off, can bet on it. Yeah, it does sound that way for sure.
Yeah.
And that's so sad. Like this child is 13.
Yeah.
Or was 13. Bless her heart. That's just horrible.
Yeah, I just I have it on tape where the sheriff came out that night and said, we found all this child porn, and and we're having it sent to the lab, but they never followed through. So,
and from what I understand and from what I remember reading, there was not just a few, but thousands. Like, what does it take to get arrested for that? I mean, here's the thing. If you get him in jail, maybe he'll talk and somebody will come forward. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I can think of with child pornography is sometimes, if you don't know the victims, it's hard to prove that they were young, but not sure.
And even though the age group probably tracks to how old Hailey was, and so it's obvious to an outsider, like you said. I mean, it's like absolutely, damning evidence that he has a motive, but at the end of the day, it's not incriminating evidence to Hailey Dunn's case.
I mean, DNA is a huge one. That right there boggles my mind. I don't get the whole DNA thing. It's like you have DNA and you have the phone pings. What?
I noticed John made a comment about the child porn ring.
Yeah.
That was rumored that there was an officer involved in that. That's a very big possibility. Just
that
going
makes
from
sense.
what's been, and if you go to Hailey Dunn's page or Who Killed Hailey Dunn, you'll see a lot of that information.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I remember researching it, and I don't know how I first became aware of it, but it was a long time ago. It was quite a few years ago, so I had forgotten a lot of it. And golly, that's
it's
sad.
Unfortunate that there's corruption like that, but that would make sense why.
Right.
Yeah.
I know my question I had a long time ago.
Thank you, Robin.
I
appreciate you. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Robin shared the name of the Facebook page.
Yes,
we appreciate
thank
you doing
you.
that in the comments.
Yeah. Okay, so my question for you is there still a billboard for information?
I have seen a billboard, yes, recently.
Okay, good. Well, that's good because I think that helps a lot.
Yes.
Having a billboard for people to call in tips. I mean, a lot of people don't know that you can call in anonymous tips. So, yeah.
This is such an interesting case. I know that everybody is already, it makes me sick to my stomach too, John. It's so sad. But it's so interesting because it's like, yes, it is unsolved, but it's clear, it's alleged who the person is that is responsible. And at the end of the day, this isn't one of those things where it's like, we're still waiting for all these different suspects to come. There's truly only two. And so it really is just a waiting game at this point for them to find us enough substantial evidence to get him. And it's good that he wasn't exonerated, for everybody that doesn't know that. So that way he can be tried again.
Mm-hmm.
So they really were smart enough to at least do that.
They just dropped the charges, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And, you know, I guess in the beginning also is what made me suspicious of law enforcement is, you know, Clint was going through a lot with his daughter missing and knowing she was probably killed.
Right.
It seemed like the police were focused on him for arresting him for DWLI and got him for, I think, less than 2 ounces of marijuana. It seemed like, you know, they weren't going after Sean. They were going after, you know, Clint for some reason.
That is weird.
Which I know those are crimes, but, you know,
right.
He was driving around he was putting out posters from Sweetwater all the way to Big Springs, trying to find his daughter, you know, and he was fighting the battle the whole way. So.
Right.
It's alleged, but it's clear that
right.
there is something amiss, and they're clearly, it's obvious. I mean, it's alleged that they're involved, but it seems like from what you're saying, the police are involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if for anybody,
it happens a lot more than you realize. I mean, y'all watch the news as much as I do about corrupt cops being arrested. And,
yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I support law enforcement 100%. There's great people, but it only takes one or two to
be a bad apple. For 100%.
For anybody wanting to find that group, the page for Hailey Dunn, it's in the comments, so you can click on it and join that group.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we want to give the number for anybody who has information on this case. For to contact the Texas Rangers, you have a tip, you can remain anonymous. The number is 1-800-252 TIPS, TIPS, 1-800-252-TIPS for any information on the Hailey Dunn case. You can remain anonymous. And of course, you can also contact the Colorado City Police Department or the Mitchell County Police Department as well. Yeah. And well, we do appreciate you so much coming on and talking about this case.
Absolutely.
I know it's a sensitive case. It's really sad. I mean, this child was 13 years old. She didn't deserve what happened to her. But I do believe that hopefully somebody out there has information and can come forward. And thank you for doing what you do.
Me? I don't have any information.
Thank you for what you do, for going out there and doing that search and for advocating for children all around. That we really appreciate it. We thank you for telling us the story.
Thank you so much. Truly. Yeah.
So if anybody has any other information on cases they would like us to do, please let us know. If you do watch this and you're watching it on replay, just type R in the comments and let us know that you're watching it. Thank you, John, for your comments and for all of you, Crystal and Robin and who else was on here? Thank y'all for watching.
But thank you guys so much for tuning in and really sounding off in the comments, asking all the right questions.
Yeah,
you know, we can't do this without you guys.
Yeah, and it helps for people to know about our show by you commenting, sharing the live and so forth. So again, we thank Gary for coming on,
share,
and talking about it. And we appreciate y'all listening. We're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. And you can listen to this on all of your favorite podcasting,
all your favorite platforms. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thanks,
y'all have a great night. Bye, Gary.
Bye.
Bye.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.